The wheelchair wheel caught on a splintered plank, and Daisy Rowan's small body pitched forward, her bare feet skidding across the boardwalk as she fought to keep her little brother from tipping face first into the street. Vernon, 3 years old, legs limp beneath a filthy blanket, let out a small sound, not a cry, just a breath of fear. Daisy steadied him with hands smaller than the handles she gripped. "I got you, Vern," she whispered. "I got you." Her stomach hadn't held food in 2 days. His hadn't in 3. If this story breaks your heart, the way it broke mine, please tap that subscribe button and stay with me till the very last word. Leave a comment below telling me the city you're watching from. I read every single one, and I love seeing how far these stories travel across America. Now come walk with Daisy and her little brother through the dust of 1884 Texas and witness the morning one man decided enough was enough. The wheel dropped off the plank with a thump, and Vernon gasped, "You okay, baby?" "I'm okay." "You hold on." "I'm holdin'." Daisy pushed on. The chair squeaked every third turn. Her daddy had built that chair the winter before the fever took him, nailed it together from the bones of a busted farm cart wheels, still too big for the little frame. It was ugly. It was theirs. "Daisy." My belly feels funny." "I know, baby." "Like something's biting it from inside." "I know." She stopped pushing, went around front, got down on her knees on the board so her eyes were level with his. "Vern, you listen to me." "Yes, Daisy." "You remember what Daddy said? About stickin'?" "About stickin'. What do Rowans do?" "Rowans stick." "And what do Rowans do when they're hungry?" "They find a way." "That's right, baby. And I'm finding a way right now. You just sit, you just hold on to the chair, you let me do the findin'." "Okay, Daisy." She pressed her forehead against his for 1 second. His skin was hot. Everybody's skin was hot in that summer, but his was hotter, always hotter, like the fever he had as a baby had left a coal burning in him somewhere that never quite went out. "I love you, Vern. I love you, Daisy." She stood up and pushed him on. A man in a black coat stepped off the boardwalk ahead of them, saw them coming, and crossed the street. He didn't look back. Daisy had learned to watch shoulders. A shoulder that turned away was a shoulder that wasn't giving you nothing. A shoulder that squared up sometimes that one hit you. "Sir," she called. "Mister, please, sir." He kept walking. "He didn't hear us," Vernon said. "He heard us. Maybe he was busy." Maybe. 2 women in bonnets were coming down the boardwalk. Daisy pushed Vernon up against the wall of the dry goods store so they'd have room, and she held out her free hand, palm up, as they passed. "Ma'am, please, my brother." The taller one tightened her mouth. "We don't carry coin for beggars." "He ain't aidin'." "Move along, child." They swept past. Their skirts brushed Vernon's wheelchair. One of them wrinkled her nose. "Disgraceful," she said, not quiet enough. "Jarrett Holloway's brood, I think. That man ought to be horsewhipped. He ought to be horsewhipped, and the children ought to be in a home. Both." They were gone. Vernon's eyes came up to Daisy's. "What's a home?" "It's nothing. It's somewhere you don't ever have to go." "Daisy, what's—" "Vern, hush. Hush now. We got work." She pushed him on. She could smell the diner before she could see it. Bacon, bread, coffee so strong it made her eyes water from 20 feet off. Her empty stomach pulled her body forward like a rope around her middle. She had to stop and grip the chair handles and breathe through her nose until the shaking passed. "That's bacon," Vernon said. "I know, baby. I ain't never had bacon. You had it at Christmas. You was too little to remember. Before the fever. Before the fever. I wish I remembered." She pushed him the rest of the way and turned the chair so Vernon's back was to the diner window and his face was to the street. She wedged a stick of wood under the axle the way her daddy had shown her. She put her hand on the top of his head. His hair was the same white blonde as hers. "You stay." "Where you going?" "Just inside. Just a second." "Daisy, don't." I ain't stealing. You are. I ain't stealing if they was gonna throw it out anyway. His lip wobbled. Don't let him hit you again. Her hand came up to her cheek before she could stop it. The bruise from 2 days back was still yellowing. The feed store man had caught her with a crust of bread and brought the back of his hand across her face so hard the world went white for a second, and she'd woken up sitting against a post with Vernon screaming her name from the chair. They ain't gonna hit me, she said. Promise. I promise. You wait. She walked in. The bell over the door jingled. 4 men at the counter turned their heads. A big woman behind the counter, gray streaks in dark hair, apron tied across a wide waist mouth, set like she'd been tasting a bad lemon since 1870, looked up from a coffee pot and saw her. Out! Ma'am? I said out. I told you yesterday. I told you the day before. Out. Out, girl. A younger man at the counter laughed. Clean collar, pocket watch chain. Oh, let her alone, Mrs. Cross. She's too small to do a thing. She's the thing, Mr. Kettering. Her and that cripple brother of hers. Folks see 'em out there and lose their appetite. Drives off my trade. Ma'am, please. Out. Daisy didn't move. Her eyes had found a plate. Second stool from the end. A biscuit split open, butter smeared on one half, the other half untouched, where somebody had decided they were full. A napkin folded neat beside it. Stool empty. Whoever had sat there was gone. She took a step. 2. Girl. 3. Girl, don't you? Her fingers closed around the biscuit. Oh, you little... She was out the door before Mrs. Cross finished. She pressed her back against the wall outside, clutching the biscuit against her chest with both hands, breathing so hard her dress moved in and out. Vernon's eyes went big. You got it. I got it. Daisy. Open your mouth. Open, Vern. You eat some. You first. You first. Vern. Rowan, I'm telling you. The diner door slammed behind her. Mrs. Cross came out onto the boardwalk the way a storm comes out of an August sky. You give that back. Ma'am. You give it back right now, you filthy little thief, or I'm calling the sheriff. Please, ma'am. My brother hasn't... I don't care about your brother. You think I haven't heard every sob story that walks through that door? Give it... The slap landed before Daisy saw the hand move. Her head snapped sideways. The biscuit flew out of her fingers, bounced once, rolled, stopped against the bottom of Vernon's wheel. Vernon made a sound that was not a cry, but was close to one. Daisy didn't cry. That was the rule. She never cried in front of Vern. She went to her knees. She picked up the biscuit. Half of it was dirty. She brushed it on her dress. She brushed it again. She didn't stand up yet. She was afraid that if she stood up, Mrs. Cross would see her face and know that the hand had landed in the same spot as the feed store man's hand 2 days back, and she didn't want anybody to know that. Did you hear me, girl? I said, ma'am. The word came from inside the diner. Quiet, not loud. But Mrs. Cross stopped talking. A man stepped out through the doorway. Tall, a dark hat that shadowed his eyes. A long coat that had seen weather. He wasn't young. There was gray running through the brown beard along his jaw and a line across his forehead that only came from squinting at horizons for years. He moved slow the way men move when they have learned not to waste motion. Ma'am, he said again. That's enough now. Mr. Boone, this ain't your... It's enough. Mrs. Cross's mouth worked. She stole. I saw what she did. Then you saw. I saw a little girl put her hand on a biscuit somebody had already left sitting on a plate. That ain't stealing, ma'am. That's tidying up. One of the men inside the diner laughed out loud. Mrs. Cross's face went the color of pickled beets. Mr. Boone, with respect. Silas. What? My name's Silas. You been calling me Mr. Boone for 6 years like I'm a stranger, Bellamy. Call me Silas. We ain't strangers. Silas, then. I run a clean house. How much was the biscuit? That ain't... How much, Bellamy? 2 cents. Silas Boone reached into his coat and came out with a silver quarter. He flipped it. It rolled, spun, clattered flat at her feet. That covers the biscuit, and the next meal I'm about to order, and the one after that. We done? Bellamy stared at the quarter. She didn't pick it up. She still hit me, Daisy said
This
quiet
story
from
was
her
posted
knees.
on the channel
Silas
The
looked down
Rusty
at her
Saddle.
for the first
Please
time.
do not repost
His
it in
eyes
any
under the
form.
shadow of the hat were gray-green and tired, and something else Daisy didn't have a word for. Yeah, Silas said. She did. He looked back at Bellamy. Don't do that again. I said don't do that again, ma'am. Bellamy bent, snatched the quarter off the boards turned, went back inside. The door banged. Silas stood there a second. Then he went down on one knee. Slow. He kept his hands where Daisy could see them. Hello, miss. Hello, sir. What's your name? Daisy. Daisy Rowan. Daisy Rowan. That's a mighty fine name. And who's this gentleman? Vernon was staring at Silas with his mouth a little open. That's Vernon, my brother. He's 3. He don't use his legs, but he hears everything and he talks too. Hey, Vernon. Hey, mister, Vernon whispered. His legs don't work. Since he was a baby. He had a fever, and after the fever they wouldn't move. Mama said God'd give him back one day, but Mama died before God got around to it. Silas was quiet a second. I'm awful sorry, Miss Daisy. It's all right. No, it ain't. It's all right, sir. We get by. How you gettin' by? She didn't answer. She looked at Vernon. Vernon's eyes had closed. He was holding both arms of the chair the way he did when he was too tired to sit up straight. We get by, she said again. Silas took his hat off, ran a hand over his hair, put the hat back. When's the last time either of you ate Miss Rowan? Vern had some bread 3 days ago, from a lady at the church. And you? I don't need as much. Daisy. I'm bigger. Daisy, look at me. She looked. When did you last eat? Sunday. Sunday was 5 days ago. I know what day Sunday was. He closed his eyes for a second. When he opened them, that something else thing was still there. And now Daisy had a better idea of what it was. It was grown man hurt, the kind that didn't belong on a face looking at a child. Come inside. She ain't gonna let us. She's gonna let us. Sir, I can't leave Vern. We're bringing Vern, chair and all. The door won't. I'll get the door. He stood up, moved behind the wheelchair, looked at Daisy across the top of Vernon's white blonde head. May I, miss? May you what? Push him inside. May I push him? Nobody had asked her permission about Vernon since Mama died. Not one time in 7 months. Yes, sir. Thank you, Miss Rowan. He pushed. Daisy ran ahead and threw the door open with her whole body weight and held it while Silas maneuvered the chair up the step careful of Vernon's head, one hand at a time. The bell jingled. Every face in the diner turned. Mr. Boone, Bellamy started. Silas, I told you. Bellamy. He set Vernon's chair at a table by the window. He locked the brake the same way Daisy had with a practiced hand, like he'd pushed a chair before. 2 breakfasts, eggs, bacon, biscuits, whatever milk you got that's cold, and a slice of pie if it ain't yesterday's. I don't. You do today. That's $1 of, here's 2. He set the coins on the counter. Bellamy looked at the coins. She looked at Silas. She looked at the 4 men at the counter who were all to a man watching her and waiting. She went into the kitchen. Silas pulled out a chair at the little table. He sat across from Vernon's wheelchair. He looked at Daisy, who was still standing. Sit, Miss Rowan. She sat. Her feet didn't touch the floor. The man with the pocket watch chain, Mr. Kettering, got up from his stool and came over. He tipped his hat. Miss, young sir. Hey, mister, Vernon said. Silas, you know who these children belong to? I got a guess. Jarrett Holloway. I know. He ain't. I know Asa. He puts 'em out during the day to work the street. Takes whatever they bring back. He gave the boy the blanket so folks'd feel worse for him and drop more coin. Daisy's head came up. That ain't true. Mama give him that blanket. Kettering looked at her, then at Silas, quiet. Holloway told her it was her mama's. It's a horse blanket, Silas, off his own buckboard. My wife recognized the stitchin'. Silas didn't answer. His jaw moved once. Just sayin', Kettering went on. Whatever you're thinking about doing, you better think twice. Holloway's got papers from the county. He's got Judge Ames in his pocket. I already thought twice. Silas. Thought 3 times, Asa. Go sit down. I appreciate the concern. Kettering sighed. He tipped his hat to Daisy and to Vernon, and he went back to the counter, and he did not look happy about any of it. Bellamy came out of the kitchen carrying 2 plates. She set one in front of Daisy and one on the little tray that Silas had already pulled around across the arms of Vernon's chair. Eggs, bacon, 2 biscuits each, a mound of potatoes browned with onion on top, 2 tall glasses of cold milk beaded with sweat, a piece of pie between them. She didn't speak. She didn't look at Daisy. She went back behind the counter. Daisy stared at the food. Eat, Miss Rowan? Sir. Eat slow. If you ain't had food in 5 days, your belly'll fight it. Little bites, little sips of milk. Tell your brother the same. Vern first. Silas nodded. He took a strip of bacon from Vernon's plate and broke it into small pieces and laid them where Vernon could reach them with his bird fingers. He cut 1 egg into 4 bites. He moved the milk closer. Go on, young sir. Vernon looked at Daisy. Go on, baby. Vernon picked up a piece of bacon. He put it in his mouth. He chewed. His eyes closed. He made a small sound, a sound Daisy had not heard out of him since Mama was alive, a happy sound. Daisy watched him. She had not moved. She had not touched her own plate. Miss Rowan? Yes, sir. You too? Yes, sir. She picked up a biscuit, took 1 bite. Her stomach heaved once and then settled. She took another. The tears came. She was not ready for them. She dropped her face toward the plate so Vernon wouldn't see her. She chewed. It's all right, miss, Silas said quiet. It's all right. I ain't crying. No, ma'am. I don't cry in front of him. I know. Tell him I ain't crying. You ain't crying, Miss Rowan. Thank you, sir. She ate. She ate slow, drank 3 small sips, ate another bite. She did not stop the tears, but she did not make any sound, and Vernon, busy with bacon cheeks, smeared with egg yolk, humming a little thin tune from some lullaby their mama used to sing, did not see. Silas watched them both. He did not eat. He had ordered nothing for himself. He sat with his hat still on and his hands folded on the table, and he watched 2 children eat like it was the first meal of their lives, and maybe the last one they'd ever trust. After a while, he said quiet, Miss Rowan. Sir. Where you sleepin' tonight? Behind the feed store. Only when it don't rain. When it rains, we go under Mr. Holloway's porch, but he don't know. We have to leave before dawn. Mr. Holloway is your what, miss? He was Daddy's friend. He's got papers. He says a judge said he's our uncle by law. He ain't your uncle. No, sir. He hit you. She took another small bite. Miss Rowan. Sometimes. Vernon. No, sir, not Vern. He knows the bruises show different on Vern, and Vern can't run. He hits me. Silas's hands on the table went still, not tight, still, which was worse. How long? Since Mama. How long's that, miss? 7 months. 7 months. Yes, sir. He took 1 slow breath in, 1 slow breath out. Miss Rowan? Sir? You eat your breakfast. You take your time. When you're done, you and your brother are coming with me. Where, sir? Doctor first, then the sheriff, then my place. Your place. I got a ranch 3 miles out the west road. Red gate off the turnout. 2 rooms, a stove, a well with cold water. It ain't much. It ain't the back of a feed store either. Daisy set the biscuit down. Sir, Miss Rowan? Mr. Holloway, he's got papers. He told me if we ever talked to folks about him, he said he'd put Vern somewhere. A home, for cripples. He said they chained the beds. Silas's eyes did something she couldn't read. Miss Rowan, look at me. She looked. I'm 61 years old. I was married 32 years to the finest woman God ever put on this earth. She died in my arms 4 Augusts back. She told me before she went, Silas, you keep your eyes open. You keep your eyes open for somebody who needs you because that's what we're here for. I kept 'em closed a long time, miss.
This story was posted on the
because
channel
opening
The
'em
Rusty
hurt.
Saddle.
They are
Please do
open
not
right now.
repost it in
Do
any
you
form.
understand what I am telling you? Yes, sir. Mr. Holloway ain't gonna put your brother anywhere. Mr. Holloway ain't laying a hand on you ever again. I don't know yet how I'm gonna make that true. I ain't a lawyer and I ain't a judge, but I give you my word, Miss Daisy Rowan, and a Boone's word has been good in Bastrop County for 100 years. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Eat your breakfast. Yes, sir. She picked up the biscuit. The bell over the door jingled. A man walked in. Tall. Thin. A black coat too heavy for the weather. A pocket watch on a chain across a vest stained yellow under the arms. A narrow face. A mustache gone gray at the corners. His eyes swept the diner and stopped on Vernon's wheelchair. Daisy's hand froze with the biscuit halfway to her mouth. Vernon saw her face. Vernon's smile fell off his face like a plate off a shelf. Daisy. The man crossed the diner in 4 long steps. There you are, you filthy little... Silas Boone stood up. He did not stand fast. He stood the way a barn door swings on a hinge that has been tested by 30 years of weather. He put himself between Vernon's chair and the man in the black coat. He did not raise his voice. He did not raise his hand. Jarrett. Silas Boone, step aside. No. Those are my wards. No. I got papers. I don't care what you got. You don't care. I said step back from the boy Jarrett Holloway. Step back from the girl. You are not going to touch either one of these children today. Not in this diner. Not on that street. Not ever again. Jarrett Holloway's face went very white around the mouth. The diner had gone so quiet, Daisy could hear the coffee pot ticking on the stove. Vernon's small hand reached across the table and closed around her wrist. His grip was surprisingly tight. Daisy, he whispered. I'm here, baby. Don't let him take me. He ain't taking you. Promise. Silas Boone did not turn his head away from Jarrett Holloway, but his voice, when it came, was soft enough to reach the small boy in the chair behind him. Nobody's taking you anywhere, young sir. Not one step. You finish your bacon. Vernon picked up a piece of bacon. He did not take his hand off Daisy's wrist. And Daisy, 4 years old, barefoot bruised across one cheek, sat very still at the table by the window in Bellamy Cross's diner and watched 2 grown men stand across from each other in the silence, and she understood, without anybody having to tell her, that the morning of her whole life had just split clean in half. Jarrett Holloway's hand twitched toward his coat pocket and Silas Boone saw it. Take it out slow, Jarrett. You don't give me orders in a public house. Take it out slow, or don't take it out at all. Holloway's fingers came out with a folded paper, not a pistol, a paper creased from being carried too long in the same pocket. He held it up between 2 fingers, like he was showing the room a winning card. Guardianship, signed by Judge Ames, dated February, witnessed by Sheriff Doyle. I can read, Jarrett. Then read. I don't need to. Every man in this diner is a witness. Silas Boone is interfering with the lawful guardian and his wards. You men hear that? Nobody answered. Asa Kettering at the counter turned his back and took a slow sip of coffee. I said you men hear that. A ranch hand at the end of the counter spit tobacco into a cup and said, I didn't hear nothing, Jarrett. My ear's been bad since the war. Somebody laughed. Somebody else cut it off quick. Holloway's face went tighter. Bellamy. You saw. I saw a girl eating a biscuit, Bellamy Cross said, not looking up from the coffee she was pouring. Which is what girls do in a diner, Jarrett. Bellamy, I'm busy, Jarrett. Daisy watched all of it from behind Silas's shoulder with Vernon's hand locked on her wrist. She did not understand every word. She understood enough. She understood that something was changing in this room that had never changed for her before. Grown folks were choosing, and they were not choosing Jarrett Holloway. Daisy. Holloway said low. Come here, girl. She did not move. Daisy Rowan, get up and bring your brother. No, sir. What did you say to me? I said no, sir. You come here right now, or I swear to God. Jarrett. Silas's voice was still quiet, still slow. You take one more step, and we are going to have a different conversation. You threatening me, old man? I'm telling you. In front of witnesses. In front of witnesses. The ranch hand at the end of the counter turned on his stool. He was younger than Silas, but not young. Scar down one cheek from his ear to his jaw. He laid a hand flat on the counter and said, Jarrett, go home. Clem. Go home, Jarrett. This ain't your... Silas brung me out of a ditch in '79 when my horse throwed me. Silas sat up 2 nights with my boy when the fever took him. Silas give me $40 when my wife buried him and never asked it back. So I reckon it's my concern, yes, sir. Go home. Holloway looked around the diner. His eyes moved from face to face. Not one man there looked back at him friendly. Asa Kettering. Clem at the counter. 2 hands Daisy didn't know the names of. Bellamy with her arms folded. The cook in the kitchen door with a wooden spoon in his fist. He folded the paper back into his coat. This ain't done. Never said it was, Silas answered. I got law on my side. We'll see whose side law's on. I'll have the sheriff on your place by supper time. Then I'll see him at supper time. You think you're buying yourself a family Silas Boone at your age with what a dead wife's kitchen. You think those children want to sit across a table from an old man talking to a ghost. It landed. Daisy felt Silas's shoulders change under his coat. Just a little. Just the way a man flinches when somebody hits him in a place he did not know was still tender. But his voice did not change. Goodbye, Jarrett. Holloway looked at Daisy past Silas's arm. Girl, you remember what I told you. Daisy's throat closed. She don't remember nothing you told her, Silas said. That part of her life is over. Is it? Yes, sir, it is. Holloway smiled then, and his smile was the worst thing in the room. We'll see about the boy. He turned. He walked out. The bell jingled behind him. Through the window, Daisy watched him cross the street and walk up the boardwalk toward the sheriff's office and disappear. The diner let its breath out at the same time. Vernon's hand was still on Daisy's wrist. She could feel the shape of every small finger. Daisy. Yes, baby. Is he going to come back? No. You promise. I promise. She did not know if she was lying. She said it anyway. Silas turned slow. He sat back down across from Vernon's wheelchair. He took his hat off finally and set it on the empty chair. His hair was iron-colored and flattened where the hat had been. Up close, without the shadow, his face was older than Daisy had thought. A lot older. Lines around the eyes. A white scar through one eyebrow. A man who had been awake a long time. Miss Rowan. Sir? Finish your milk. Sir, he's going to come back with the sheriff. I know. He's going to show the papers. I know. Sheriff Doyle drinks with him. Every Tuesday at the Bluebonnet. I seen him. You seen a lot, miss? Yes, sir. Finish your milk. We got about an hour before that sheriff finds his hat and his horse. We ain't going to spend it scared at a table. She picked up the glass. Her hand shook a little. She drank. Silas. Asa Kettering had come over again. He kept his voice low. You cannot take those children to your place. That's the first place Doyle'll ride. I know it. Then, I ain't taking 'em to my place, Asa. Not today. Where then? Doc Hester's, then out to the Pritchard farm. Henry Pritchard. Henry Pritchard. He hasn't come off that farm in 2 years. He'll come off it for this. Silas. Asa. I need you to do one thing for me. Name it. Ride to Austin, tonight. Find me Judge Ames's brother. His brother, William Ames. He practices in Austin. He hates his brother like poison. Has since their father's will. You tell him Silas Boone sent you, and Silas Boone is ready to pay whatever it takes to bring Hollis Ames's crookedness into a bigger court than Bastrop County. Kettering stared at him. You been planning this? I've been thinking on it for about 10 minutes. Silas. Asa. Will you ride? I'll ride. Thank you, friend. Kettering put his hat on. He nodded once at Daisy. At Vernon he said, You hang tight, young
This story
sir.
was posted on the
Vernon
channel
nodded
The
back
Rusty
solemn.
Saddle. Please do
Kettering
not
went out.
repost it in any form.
Silas looked at Vernon. Young man. Sir. You ever ride in a wagon? Daddy's wagon, before he died. You remember it? A little. You remember liking it? Yes, sir. Good. 'Cause you and your sister and me are getting in one in about 5 minutes, and I need you to be brave in a wagon for a little while. Can you do that for me? Yes, sir. Good boy. Vernon's chest came up a 1/4 inch. Daisy saw it. She had not seen his chest come up like that in 7 months. Somebody had called him a good boy and meant it, and his whole small body had answered. Silas stood. He put his hat back on. He slid 3 more coins onto the table and pushed them across to Bellamy Cross where she stood behind the counter. For your trouble, Bellamy. You don't owe me. For your trouble. Bellamy's mouth worked. She did not pick up the coins. Silas. Ma'am, I shouldn't have hit the girl. No, ma'am, you shouldn't have. Her hand went to the coffee pot, came back. I've been hearing from Jarrett Holloway for 6 months that those two are thieving my trade. I've been believing him. And now, Bellamy looked at Daisy. Miss Rowan. Daisy's back straightened. Nobody had called her that today except Silas. Yes, ma'am. I am sorry. That was the wrong hand and the wrong child, and I am sorry. I hope you will let me fix you a loaf of bread for the road. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Vernon added, and Bellamy Cross, 49 years old, a widow twice a woman who had not cried in a public room in 30 years, put the back of her hand against her mouth and turned into the kitchen fast. Silas unlocked Vernon's brake. Miss Rowan, get the door. Yes, sir. She got the door. He pushed Vernon through. She held the door with her whole body weight again the same way she had coming in. Except this time her feet were not cold on the boards because her feet didn't feel anything at all. Because her feet were 3 miles behind the rest of her, which was already trying to understand the shape of a world in which a man in a long coat had just said no to Jarrett Holloway, and meant it. On the boardwalk outside, Silas stopped. Miss Rowan, before we go any further. Sir, I need to ask you something, and I need a true answer. Yes, sir. Has Jarrett Holloway ever touched your brother? No, sir. True. True, sir. He said he wouldn't waste a hand on a cripple. He said... She swallowed. He said if I didn't do what he told me, he'd put Vern in the home, and then he wouldn't have to waste the hand. Silas was quiet. And did you do what he told you? Yes, sir. What did he tell you to do? Beg. Every day. Bring back whatever I got. If I got less than 20 cents, I understand. I never stole before Mama died, sir. Daddy didn't raise us to steal. I know he didn't. You knew my daddy. Silas stopped pushing the chair. He looked at her. Miss Daisy, your daddy's name was Caleb Rowan. Yes, sir. Caleb Rowan worked my south fence the summer of '79. He was 17 years old. He was the strongest boy I ever hired, and the quietest. He married a girl named Clara out of San Marcos 3 summers later, and I stood at the back of the church and watched him do it. I hadn't seen him in 6-7 years. I did not know he'd passed. I surely did not know his children were in my town. Daisy stared at him. You knew my daddy. I knew your daddy. You stood at his wedding. I stood at his wedding. She put a hand on the wheel of Vernon's chair to hold herself up. Miss Rowan, I want you to understand something. I am not doing this because I saw a hungry child in a diner. I would have done it for any hungry child in any diner. But I am not a stranger to your blood. I owe your daddy a debt I did not know I owed until about 10 minutes ago, and I mean to pay it. Sir. Don't cry, miss. I ain't. No, ma'am, you ain't. Bellamy came out with a cloth bundle and pushed it into Daisy's free hand. Warm, heavy, bread and something else. Bellamy did not say anything. She went back inside and shut the door. Silas pushed the chair down the boardwalk. Daisy walked beside one hand on the arm of the wheelchair, the other clutching the bundle against her chest. Her feet had started feeling the boards again. Her feet were not far behind her anymore. "Where's the wagon, sir?" "3 doors down, in front of the feed store." "I know the feed store." "I know you know it. He hits hardest there." "Not anymore, he don't." They made the corner. A dun horse was hitched to a plain buckboard. Silas lifted Vernon out of the wheelchair himself, one arm under his knees, one arm around his thin shoulders. Vernon's hands came up and locked behind Silas's neck out of old habit, the way he must have done with their daddy once. "Easy, young sir. You smell like horse." "I reckon I do." "I like it." "I reckon I do too." Silas laid him on the folded blanket in the bed of the wagon. He folded the wheelchair, he folded it expert, like he had done it before, and slid it in beside Vernon. "Silas." "Miss." "How'd you know how to fold the chair?" "My Martha." "Sir." "My wife. Last 2 years of her life. She rode in one like this." "Oh. Your daddy and me made hers. Summer of '79. That's what the fencin' money went to." Daisy put both hands over her mouth. Silas lifted her up into the wagon before she could cry where Vernon would see. "Up front with me, Miss Rowan. Your brother lays down in the back. You tell me if he needs anything. You yell it out." "Yes, sir." He climbed up beside her. He took the reins. "Vern," Daisy called back. "You okay?" "Daisy." "Yeah, baby." "The blanket's soft." "I know, baby." "It smells good." "I know." "Is this the ranch?" "Not yet. We're going to the doctor first." "The doctor?" "Yes, baby. For me." Silas spoke before Daisy could. "For both of you, young sir. Nothing scary. Just a look." "Okay, mister." "Silas." "Silas." "Good boy." Silas clucked to the horse and the wagon rolled. They had gone maybe 2 blocks when Daisy saw at the far end of the street 2 riders turning onto Main from the south road. A black coat. A badge. "Silas?" "I see him." "That's the sheriff." "I see him, miss." "Silas." "We ain't going that way." He turned the wagon hard left into an alley between the Saddlers and the bank. The wheels jolted. Vernon made a small sound in the back, and Daisy twisted around. "You okay, baby?" "I'm okay." "Hold the sides." "I'm holdin'." The alley came out behind the livery. Silas turned right away from Main down a dirt track that ran along the back of the town. "Silas, they'll go to your place first." "They will." "Then where?" "Doc Hester lives behind his office. His office door's on the alley. We pull up behind. Doyle won't think to look. Doyle ain't thought original since 1871. And then we go to Henry Pritchard's." "Who's Henry Pritchard, sir?" Silas was quiet a second. "Your daddy ever mention a name like that, miss?" Daisy thought. She was 4. Her memory of her daddy was a voice and a pair of hands and a smell of leather and sweat and a song about a possum. "No, sir, I don't think so." "Think hard. Mr. Pritchard. Henry. Uncle Henry, maybe." She stopped. "Uncle Henry." "Yes, miss." Daddy said if anything ever happened to him we was supposed to go to Uncle Henry. Mama wrote it down somewhere. In Daddy's Bible. But Mama died, and I couldn't find the Bible after." Silas nodded slow. "Miss Rowan, I got something to tell you, and I need you to hear me careful." "Yes, sir." "Your daddy left a will." "A what, sir?" "A paper. That says who gets what and who watches over who when a man dies. Your daddy left one. He left it with Henry Pritchard. Henry was your daddy's oldest friend. Henry was the executor, that's the man who carries out the paper. Your daddy left Henry 340 acres of land in your name and your brother's name held in trust until you're grown." Daisy stared at him. 340 acres? "Yes, miss." "Of what?" "Of land, miss. Good Texas grass. Water on it. Standing timber on the north end. Worth I don't know what it's worth now. A lot." "We own land." "You own land, miss." "Then why were you begging biscuits on Main Street?" Yes, sir. Because Jared Holloway told the court Henry Pritchard was dead 7 months ago, right after your mama passed. Told Judge Ames he'd
This
seen the
story was
body,
posted on
got
the
himself
channel The
named
Rusty
guardian on the
Saddle.
grounds
Please
there was
do
no
not
live-in
repost it
executor,
in any form.
and the children had no kin. Is Uncle Henry dead? Henry Pritchard is sitting on his front porch right now, miss, or I'll eat this hat. Sick, tired. Wouldn't know his name was in a courthouse. But livin'. So Jared Holloway lied under oath to steal 340 acres of your daddy's land. And once Henry Pritchard stands up in front of a Travis County judge and says, "Hello, I'm alive, thank you. The whole guardianship papers ain't worth the ink." Daisy pressed both small hands flat on the wagon seat to keep from falling off of it. How do you know all this, sir? Silas Boone did not look at her. He looked at the road. His jaw worked once. Because your daddy wrote me, Miss Daisy, 4 years ago. Right after your brother was born and the fever took his legs. He wrote me and said, "Silas, if anything happens to me, Henry Pritchard has the paper, and you are the second name on the paper." And I wrote him back, and I said, "Son, you'll outlive me." And I put the letter in a drawer, and I forgot it because Martha was sick then, and I was not a man who remembered his promises that summer. His voice was very quiet. I am remembering it now, miss. I am remembering it about 7 months too late, and I do not intend to forget it again. Daisy Rowan, 4 years old, sat on a wagon bench beside a stranger, who was not a stranger at all, and behind her wrapped in a horse blanket that was not her mama's. Her 3-year-old brother hummed a small tune about a possum, and she understood for the first time that her daddy had not left them with nothing. Her daddy had left them with a man in a long coat who had just remembered his name. The wagon slowed behind Doc Hester's office, and Silas swung down before the wheels stopped rolling. "Miss Rowan, stay put." "Yes, sir." He rapped on the back door. 3 quick, 1 slow, 1 quick. Some kind of signal from a long time ago. The door opened about 4 inches. A gray eye, a gray eyebrow. Silas Boone. "Amos, you are the last man I expected before breakfast. I got 2 children in a wagon and Sheriff Doyle coming down Main in about 20 minutes. The door opened the rest of the way. "Bring 'em." Silas lifted Vernon first. Vernon's arms went around his neck without question now, like it had been settled between them for years. "Am I getting a shot, mister?" "No shot, young sir." "Promise?" "Promise." Okay. Daisy climbed down herself. She would not be lifted. She carried the cloth bundle of bread against her chest, like a baby she was afraid to drop. Doc Hester was 70 if he was a day. White hair standing up in 3 directions. Spectacles on a string around his neck. Hands that shook a little until the moment he put them on a patient, and then they stopped shaking altogether. "On the table, young sir. Gently, Silas. Gently. Now you miss. Sir, I need to see you too. Vern first. Miss. Vern first, please, sir." Doc Hester glanced at Silas. Silas gave the smallest nod. "Vern first, then." He put the spectacles on. He peeled back Vernon's thin shirt. Daisy watched his face. She watched his face the way she had learned to watch shoulders. His face did not change. That was how she knew it was bad. "Young sir, when did you last have a bath?" "I don't remember." "Does your back hurt?" "Sometimes." Where the chair is, the wood part." "Mm-hmm. And these marks here, on your side. You remember how you got these?" "No, sir." "Not at all?" "No, sir." Doc Hester straightened up. He took the spectacles off. He looked at Silas over Vernon's head, and he did not say one word, and he did not need to. "Amos." "Silas. Write it down. Every one." "I am writing it down, Silas. I am writing it down. Careful." "Miss?" Doc Hester turned. "Your turn, please." "Yes, sir?" He sat her on a stool. He looked at her face first. The yellowing bruise from the feed store man. The fresh red welt from Bellamy Cross. He did not touch either one. He looked at her arms. He rolled up her left sleeve. "Miss?" "Sir?" "This one on your forearm." "Yes, sir." "How did you get it?" A stick. Whose stick? Mr. Holloway's. When? Last Sunday. I come back with 15 cents. He said 15 cents wasn't 20 cents. I see. And this one here on the shoulder. The strop. The same day. I see. He checked her other arm. Her back. Her ankles. He was slow and gentle, and he did not once make a sound of pity, because Daisy had the kind of eyes that would have flinched from pity. He spoke to her the way a man speaks to a woman he respects. Miss Rowan. Sir? You are 4 years old. Yes, sir. You are 4 years old, and you have the bruises of a grown ranch hand at the end of a hard season. Yes, sir. I have been a doctor in this town for 41 years. Yes, sir. I have never written what I am about to write. Do you understand me? No, sir. You will, someday. I am going to write it plain, and I am going to sign my name to it, and so is Silas Boone, and that piece of paper is going to walk into a courtroom in Austin, Texas, and it is going to bury Jarrett Holloway alive. Daisy's lower lip trembled for exactly 1 second. She bit it. Yes, sir. Good girl. Now, your brother. Sir, I want to tell you something about your brother's legs. Silas turned from the window where he had been watching the alley. Amos, careful. I am being careful, Silas. Miss Rowan, come here. She came. Do you remember what I said about the fever? Mama said God had give 'em back. Your mama was a good woman to tell you so. I am going to tell you something a little different, and I want you to keep it quiet for now. Will you keep it quiet? Yes, sir. Your brother has feelin' in his feet. Sir, I touched the bottom of his foot just now. He flinched. Not much. But he flinched. He feels things. He feels things. Some. After a fever like his, sometimes the strength comes back in years, slow, little by little, with food, with warmth, with a body that ain't sleepin' under a porch. Daisy's hands went to her mouth. He might walk. I am not promisin' you. I am tellin' you he might. I have seen it twice in my life, both times in children who got taken care of. She turned to the table. Vernon was looking at the ceiling, small hands folded on his thin chest. Vern? Daisy. You hear that? I heard. What do you think, baby? I think I'd like to walk Daisy. Yeah, I'd like to walk to the outhouse by myself. Silas Boone made a small sound over by the window. It might have been a laugh. It might have been something else. He did not turn around for a second. When he turned, his face had gone tight at the corners in a way Daisy did not like. Amos. Silas. How fast can you write? Fast. 2 riders just turned into the alley. Doc Hester moved. Old as he was, he moved like a man who had dodged cannon fire in his youth. He crossed to a cabinet. He pulled out a roll of gauze. Miss Rowan, on the table with your brother. Lie down. Turn your face to the wall. Sir. Do it, child. Silas had already lifted her up. He laid her beside Vernon. He pulled a sheet up to both their chins. He whispered, Vernon Young, sir. Close your eyes. You are sleepin'. Yes, Silas. Doc Hester wrapped Daisy's head fast in the gauze. 1 pass, 2, 3, covered her yellow bruise, her cheekbone, her jaw. He dabbed something red on the gauze at her temple. Iodine. It looked like blood from 6 feet away. The back door rattled. Doc. Occupied. Open up, Doc. Official business. I said occupied, Arlie. I got a child in surgery. Doc Hester, open this door right now. Doc Hester unlocked the door. Silas had already stepped behind it. Daisy could not see. She kept her eyes screwed shut and her face to the wall, and she made her breathing slow. Sheriff. Where's Silas Boone? Couldn't tell you. His wagon's in your alley. Is it? Doc. Arlie Doyle, I have known you since you were in short pants. I am telling you right now I have a 4-year-old on this table bleeding from a wound I have not yet stitched, and her 3-year-old brother next to her in shock. And if you step 1 boot heel into my surgery, I will have your badge in front of the state medical examiner by supper time. Do I make myself plain? A pause. A girl and a boy. Yes, sir. What happened to 'em? A man named Jarrett Holloway put 'em out on the streets of this town to beg Sheriff Doyle for 7 months. And this morning, a diner owner lost her temper and opened a wound on this child's face that is going to scar her for life. That is what happened to 'em. And I will be happy to tell the state medical examiner that story too when he comes. Silence. Doc. Was there something else, Sheriff? Holloway says Silas Boone took his wards. Silas Boone is not in this room. Doc. Sheriff. Do I look to you like a man who would lie about the contents of his own surgery? No, sir. Then go find Silas Boone somewhere else. I have work. Yes, sir. And Arlie.
This story
Sir,
was posted on the channel
when
The Rusty
Holloway
Saddle.
asks you what
Please
you
do
saw,
not
you
repost
tell
it
him
in
what
any
you saw.
form.
A doctor working on a hurt child. You don't add one word to it. Yes, sir. The door shut. The lock turned. Nobody moved for a long breath. Silas stepped out from behind the door. Amos, he's gone. That was a risk. That was the truth, Silas dressed up in gauze. Now get these children out of my town before that man finds his spine. Silas lifted Vernon. Doc Hester unwrapped Daisy's head himself, careful not to catch her hair. Miss Rowan? Sir. I am putting a clean bandage on your real bruise. Keep it on until tomorrow. When anybody asks you, tell them Dr. Amos Hester stitched you up. You don't say another word. Yes, sir. And take this. He pressed a folded paper into her hand, sealed with a wax stamp. You give it to nobody but a judge. Not Silas, not me, not your Uncle Henry if you find him. A judge, in a courtroom. Understand? Yes, sir. Good girl. Silas was already at the back door with Vernon. Daisy ran after. She tucked the paper into the front of her dress over her heart where she had used to keep the tin button off her daddy's coat until Holloway took it. They were back in this wagon in under a minute. Silas clucked the horse into a quick walk, then a trot, then a canter out of the back alley and onto the west road before anybody in a badge could think twice. The town fell behind them. Silas. Miss. The sheriff. He'll ride to my place next. He'll ride there slow, 'cause he don't want to find us, and he'll ride back slower. Why don't he want to find us? Because Arlie Doyle was a deputy under my daddy when I was a boy, miss. My daddy taught him to read. Arlie's got Jarrett Holloway's dollar in his pocket, but he's got my daddy's name on his heart, and some mornings those two things fight each other. This morning, my daddy won. Oh. It won't happen twice. The wagon left the last of the town fences behind. The road thinned. The horse found a steady working trot. In the bed of the wagon, Vernon lay on the folded blanket with his eyes closed and a small smile on his mouth from the motion. Daisy held on to the seat. She turned once halfway and looked at Silas's profile. Silas. Miss. What if Uncle Henry ain't alive? He didn't answer right away. Silas. I heard you, miss. What if Holloway wasn't lying? Then we keep going. To where, sir? To Austin. To William Ames. To a federal circuit judge if I have to sit on his steps for a week. I am telling you this now, Miss Rowan. I do not turn around. Yes, sir. Your daddy did not turn around. You do not turn around. I do not turn around. It's the Rowan way and the Boone way, and we are in it together now. Yes, sir. The Pritchard place sat at the end of a rutted track off the main road 3 miles out from the town line. An unpainted farmhouse, a sagging porch, a chimney missing half its bricks. The yard had gone to weed. One cow grazed the far fence line and looked up at the wagon with no interest. Silas. I see it, miss. It don't look like anybody lives here. Somebody lives here. He pulled the horse up at the porch. He set the brake. He did not get out right away. Silas. Miss, you stay with your brother. Sir. If I come back out that door in under a minute, I am carrying bad news, and we turn the wagon and we ride. You understand me? Yes, sir. If I come back out that door in 10 minutes, I am coming to get your brother and you. Yes, sir. He got down. He climbed the porch. Two of the boards flexed under his boots. He knocked. Nothing. He knocked again. Nothing. Daisy twisted around in the seat. "Vern, I'm here." "Hold tight." "I'm tight." Silas turned the knob. The door opened. He stepped inside. Daisy counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At 30, she had started over because she had lost her place. At what she guessed was a minute, she started crying without knowing she was doing it. At what she guessed was 2 minutes, the door opened. Silas came out. He was not carrying bad news. He was supporting a man under the arm. A thin old man, thinner than Doc Hester. White hair hanging to his collar, a week of beard on his jaw. A stained nightshirt tucked into a pair of trousers that did not belong to him. His eyes were sunken, but they were open. His feet moved. He was breathing. He was alive. "Miss Rowan," Silas called down. "Come here, please. Bring your brother." She scrambled down. She climbed in the bed and got her arms under Vernon. "Silas, I can't lift. I'm coming." He left the old man leaning on the porch rail and came and took Vernon. He carried him up onto the porch. Daisy ran up beside. "Henry," Silas said. "Henry, open your eyes, old friend." The old man opened his eyes. "Silas Boone." "Henry." "That you?" "It's me. I dreamed you for 3 days." "I ain't a dream." "Prove it." Silas reached out and took the old man's free hand. He pressed it. The old man's fingers closed weak. "Silas." "Henry." "Silas, they've been putting something in my water." Silas Boone went still. "Say that again." "My grandson, Ennis. Ennis been putting something in my water. For 4 months, since right after Caleb's widow passed. He don't let me off the farm. He don't let me see the mail. He told me Caleb's children was took by their uncle up north and was doing fine. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe him so bad." "Henry." "Silas. Look down." The old man looked down. Daisy had stepped up onto the porch without knowing she had. She was looking up at him with both eyes wide and wet, and her brother was in Silas Boone's arms beside her, and the old man's face broke apart all at once like a piece of old pottery. "Lord have mercy." "It's me," Daisy said. "It's me, Uncle Henry. It's Daisy. And that's Vern." "Caleb's babies." "Yes, sir." Henry Pritchard went down onto his knees on his own porch. He did it slow, the way a man goes down who is not sure he will get back up. He put his trembling hands out, and Daisy stepped into them, and he held her the way he must have held her once when she was a baby. And she did not know why her body recognized the shape of his arms, but it did. It did. "Caleb's babies," he said over and over. "Caleb's babies. Oh God. Oh God, forgive me. Oh God, I thought you was gone. I thought you was gone." "We're here, Uncle Henry." "I been dreamin' your face. For 3 nights. I been dreamin' your daddy. He been standin' at the foot of my bed tellin' me to get up, to get up, to get up." "I'm here." A board creaked inside the house. Silas's head came up fast. A young man stood in the doorway. Not 30. Black hair. A shirt half-buttoned. A tin cup in his hand. He stared at the 3 on the porch. He stared at Silas Boone. "Grandpa." Henry Pritchard did not look up. His face was buried in Daisy's hair. "Ennis." "Grandpa who?" "Ennis Pritchard." Silas said quiet. "Set that cup down." "Mister, you are on private." "Set. The cup. Down." Ennis Pritchard looked at the cup in his hand. He looked at Silas Boone. He turned and ran. Silas Boone did not run after him. "Henry, hold on to that cup if he dropped it. Don't spill it." He didn't drop it. "Miss Rowan." "Sir." "The cup on the floor inside. You go get it. Don't touch the water. Pick it up by the handle and carry it to your Uncle Henry." "Yes, sir." She was inside before the word finished. Silas came off the porch in 3 long strides and caught Ennis Pritchard by the back of the shirt at the gate. One motion, no hurry. Ennis's feet kept running for half a second after the rest of him had stopped, and then his feet gave up too. "Let go of me." "No." Old man, I will. You will stand there, Ennis Pritchard, and you will wait. For what? For the sheriff. You ain't the law. No, sir, I ain't, but he's coming anyway. And when he gets here, I intend for you to still be standing right here and for him to have a nice long conversation with you about the water in your grandfather's cup.
This story was posted on the
Pritchard's
channel
face
The
went
Rusty
white
Saddle.
around the eyes.
Please do not repost
You don't
it in
know
any
what's
form.
in that cup. I know what ain't in it. What? Anything good. Daisy came back out carrying the tin cup by the handle, holding it out in front of her like something a snake had licked. Henry Pritchard sat against the porch post. He had hold of Vernon's thin hand. Vernon was looking at him solemn. Uncle Henry. Yes, son. You real? I'm real. You stayin'. I'm stayin', son. I ain't going anywhere ever again. Daisy set the cup down on the porch boards between them. Silas, I got it. Don't nobody drink from it. Don't nobody spill it. No, sir. He marched Ennis back to the porch one-handed. The younger man tried once to twist. Silas's grip did not change. He set Ennis down on the top step and put one boot on the step beside him, and Ennis sat. Henry. Silas. How bad? I don't rightly know. Some days I can't stand. Some days my hands shake. Some days I forget my own name. It'd been getting worse since Caleb's widow passed. What's he been telling you? That I had a stroke. That I was lucky to be alive. That a man my age oughtn't go out in the heat. That the mail ain't come. That I don't got visitors anymore. All of it lies. All of it lies. Ennis Pritchard said low, Grandpa, you don't understand. Ennis. Henry Pritchard's voice had a thread of iron in it that Daisy had not heard there before. You hush. I understand fine. I understand for the first time in 4 months. Hush. Ennis hushed. Silas turned toward the road. Miss Rowan. Sir? Take your brother inside, you and your Uncle Henry. Lock the door. Sit in the back room away from the windows. Why, sir? Dust on the road, maybe a quarter-mile back. She ran to look. A thin yellow plume was climbing into the air above the track they had come up. 3 riders, maybe 4. Silas. I see it, miss. Is it him? It's him. Henry Pritchard pushed himself up off the post. Silas, my shotgun's above the kitchen door. Henry. I can hold a shotgun, Silas Boone. I've been thin, but I ain't dead. Give me 5 minutes and I can hold it. Then hold it. Ain't asking you to shoot it. Daisy already had hold of Vernon's thin arms. Henry Pritchard bent and lifted Vernon himself slow but firm, and the old man's arms trembled, but they held. You got him, Uncle Henry? I got him, Daisy girl. Silas. Inside, miss. She went. The inside of the Pritchard house smelled of a long sickness and a closed-up room. Henry Pritchard set Vernon down on a made-up bed in the back room and turned and walked. Walked on his own feet out to the kitchen and came back with a shotgun in both hands. He sat down in a straight-backed chair with the shotgun across his knees, and he looked 10 years younger than he had on the porch. Uncle Henry? Yes, child? You gonna shoot somebody? I hope to God I don't. Why'd your grandson do it? Henry Pritchard's mouth worked. He was quiet a long moment. Money, child. Just money. I named him in my will 5 years ago when he come to live with me. Everything I got was to go to him when I died. Then your daddy come and asked me to hold a trust for you and your brother, and I did. And when your daddy passed, that trust become the biggest thing this farm had ever seen. And Ennis thought if I passed quiet, and if you children was gone, there wouldn't be no trust to execute, and he'd have it all. He's family. He's family. Family shouldn't. No, child. Family shouldn't. But men do things for money that no animal in God's woods would do for food. Daisy thought about that. She put her small hand over her brother's. Vernon was looking at Henry with that solemn way he had. Uncle Henry. Yes, son. What's a trust? A trust is a promise, Vern. A promise in writin'. Your daddy gave me his land and his money to hold for you, so no man could take it from you till you was grown. I swore on a Bible I would hold it, and I have held it every day since. even when I didn't know I was holding it. Even when I was half out of my mind on whatever that boy was putting in my water, the paper stayed in the strongbox under the kitchen floor, and it will stay there till you reach 18, or till a judge of the great state of Texas tells me to hand it over. You got the paper right now. 6 feet from where you're sitting. Vernon's small hand tightened on Daisy's. Outside horses. 4 of them. Men dismounting. Boots on boards. Henry Pritchard stood up with the shotgun. He did not shake. Jarrett Holloway's voice came through the door. Silas Boone. Jarrett. Hand them children over. No. I got the sheriff. I see him? Sheriff Doyle's voice different from the morning. Thinner. Silas. Arlie. Silas, I got to take him in. Holloway's papers is in order. Arlie. Henry Pritchard is alive. A silence. A long one. Silas, what did you say? I said Henry Pritchard is alive. He is sitting in that house behind me. He is the executor of Caleb Rowan's estate. He was not dead when Jarrett Holloway told your Judge Ames he was 7 months ago. He was being poisoned slow by his own grandson, who is sitting on this porch right now where I put him, and who I believe will tell you all about it if you ask him careful. Silas, Arlie, the tin cup on the porch. Don't let nobody touch it. Send it to a chemist in Austin today. I will pay for it. Silas, if what you're saying. Jarrett Holloway lied under oath, Arlie. He stole Caleb Rowan's land. He put Caleb's children on the street. He beat that little girl with a strop for not bringing home 20 cents in a day. Doc Hester has written it down and signed it, and that girl is carrying the paper right now. I ain't telling you what to do. I am telling you what is. Holloway's voice loud, fast, shrill. He's lying, Sheriff. He's coaching the children. He's... Jarrett. The sheriff's voice. Different again now. Cold. Be quiet. Arlie, you listen to me. I said be quiet, Jarrett. The door opened behind Daisy. Henry Pritchard stepped out onto his own porch with a shotgun in his hands. Silas did not look at him. Silas had not taken his eyes off Jarrett Holloway for a full minute. Sheriff Doyle. Henry Pritchard. You know me, Arlie. I know you, Henry. Do I look dead to you? No, sir, you do not. Did I look dead to you 7 months ago? I didn't see you 7 months ago, Henry. I took a man's word for it. Whose word? Doyle's throat moved. Jarrett Holloway's. And now? Now I am looking at you. Am I alive, Arlie? Yes, sir. You are alive. Then the guardianship papers filed 7 months ago is worthless. Yes, sir, they are. Holloway made a sound. A wordless sound. He took 1 step back off the porch, 2 toward his horse. Silas Boone moved between him and the animal. Jarrett, get out of my way. No. Silas Boone, you are a dead man. Maybe so. Not today. Sheriff Doyle drew his pistol. He did not point it at Silas. He pointed it at the ground between Holloway's boots. Jarrett, hands where I can see 'em. Arlie, Jarrett, I was willing to stretch a law for you when I thought you had cause. I ain't willing to hang for you. I gave you? Jarrett, shut up. Hands. Holloway's hands came up. One of the deputies, a tall boy with a bad mustache, took a step forward and put irons on Jarrett Holloway's wrists on the porch of the Pritchard farmhouse. Holloway's face had gone the color of a dish rag. He was breathing fast. He looked once, just once, at Daisy through the doorway. You little... Jarrett, Silas Boone said, quiet. If you finish that sentence with 1 word aimed at that child, I will forget everything my mother taught me. Holloway closed his mouth. The other deputy was bent over Ennis Pritchard. Ennis had begun to talk. Ennis was talking fast, the way a man talks who has been alone with his own guilt for 4 months and has been waiting without knowing it for somebody to ask him 1 question. Rat poison, just a little. I thought if I went slow nobody would. It wasn't supposed to. I wasn't going to kill him. He was going to die soon anyway. Henry Pritchard closed his eyes. Silas put a hand on his arm. Easy, old friend. He's my boy's boy, Silas. I know. I raised him after his mama and daddy burned up in that fire. I know, Henry. I loved him, Silas. I loved him like my own. And he... Henry, look at me. Henry looked. You got 2 children in that house who need you standin'. You can sit down later. Henry Pritchard nodded once slow and stood. Daisy was already out the door. She walked between the 2 deputies past Silas, past Jarrett Holloway in his irons, and she did not stop until she was
This
standing
story
in
was
front
posted
of
on the
Sheriff
channel
Arlie
The
Doyle
Rusty
with
Saddle.
the folded
Please
paper
do
from
not
Doc
repost
Hester
it in
held
any
up in her
form.
small dirty hand. Sheriff? Yes, miss. Doc Hester said only a judge. Yes, miss. But I don't know no judges. And you got a badge. So I reckon you're the closest thing. He went down on one knee. He took the paper with both hands like it was a communion plate. Miss. Yes, sir. What's in this paper? What Mr. Holloway done to me. And my brother. Doc Hester wrote it down and signed it. I ain't opened it. I see it's still sealed, miss. Yes, sir. Will you let me open it? Yes, sir. You can open it. Arlie Doyle broke the wax seal with his thumbnail. He unfolded the paper. He read. The porch had gone quiet. The only sound was Ennis Pritchard still talking quieter now, to the tall deputy confessing things that would not have been believed out of any other mouth. Doyle read the paper twice. When he looked up, his eyes were wet. Miss. Sir, this paper is going to a judge today. It ain't going to Judge Ames in this county. It is going to the Federal Circuit in Austin, and it is going there with my name on a cover letter, and Jarrett Holloway is going to ride with it in my custody. Yes, sir. You are very brave, Miss Rowan. I ain't brave, sir. I just didn't want to get hit no more. Arlie Doyle put his hand flat over his mouth for a second. He stood up. He turned toward Jarrett Holloway. Jarrett. Arlie. Every night for 7 months I drank your whiskey on Tuesdays at the Bluebonnet. Arlie, come on. I told myself there wasn't no harm in it. I told myself the girl was wild. I told myself the boy was better off with any roof than no roof. I told myself. Arlie. I am done telling myself, Jarrett. Jarrett Holloway said nothing. Arlie Doyle took a folded handkerchief out of his pocket and used it to pick up the tin cup from the porch board. He wrapped it careful. He put it in the pouch on his hip. Deputy Cable. Sir. Take Ennis Pritchard into town. Hold him at the office. Do not let Judge Ames into that office for any reason. Yes, sir. Deputy Ewers. Sir. You ride beside me. Holloway rides between us. We are going to Austin tonight. Yes, sir. A horse sounded on the track behind them. One rider coming fast. Silas turned. That'd be Asa. Asa Kettering brought his lathered horse to a sliding stop at the gate. He swung down. He was dusty to the neckcloth. His eyes found Silas. Silas, I got him. William Ames, and a federal marshal. Comin' behind me in a buggy. They'll be here in an hour. You rode all night. I rode all night. Thank you, Asa. Thank me later. Silas, I got news from Austin that's gonna turn your stomach. Say it. Judge Ames. Hollis Ames, your county judge. The one who signed Holloway's guardianship papers. What about him? He ain't Holloway's friend, Silas. He's Holloway's partner. There is a ledger in William's office with both their names on 12 properties taken under forged guardianships. 11 of them were children of dead soldiers and widows without kin. They've been doing this for 3 years. A sound came from this porch. A small sound. It was Henry Pritchard sitting down slow on the top step with one hand over his eyes. 11 children, Henry said. 11 that we know of, sir, Kettering said. William Ames is coming with warrants for both of them. Signed by the federal judge this morning. Silas Boone took off his hat. He held it in both hands. He looked at Daisy. Miss Rowan? Sir. You understand what he just said? I think so, sir. He said you're not the only one. No, sir. He said there's 10 other boys and girls somewhere in this county who got put on the street the same way you was. Yes, sir. I need you to do something for me, miss. Yes, sir. I need you to help me find 'em. She looked up at him. She looked up a long time. All of 'em, sir. All of 'em we can. Yes, sir. Not today. No, sir. Today you and your brother are going to my ranch. Tonight you are sleeping in beds with sheets that smell like lye soap. Tomorrow you are eating a breakfast at a table. Next week we start looking for the other children. Is that a deal? Yes, sir. That's a deal. Good girl. Sheriff Doyle cleared his throat. Silas. Arlie. I am taking Holloway now. William Ames is an hour behind. When he gets here, I will have Judge Ames in my cells already. Arlie. Silas. You do one thing for me before you ride. Anything. You shake this child's hand. You shake it like she's grown. 'Cause she is. Arlie Doyle bent. He held out his big calloused hand. Daisy Rowan, 4 years old, put her small dirty one in it. He shook once. Miss Rowan? Sheriff. I am sorry. Yes, sir. I am sorry for 7 months. Yes, sir. Will you forgive me? She thought about it. She did not answer fast. She thought like a grown woman thinks. Not today, sir, but maybe after. Yes, ma'am. That's more than I deserve. He straightened. He put on his hat. He pulled Jarrett Holloway by the elbow toward the horses. Holloway did not look back. He did not get the chance to look back. Nobody gave him one. The dust of 4 horses moved back down the rutted track toward town. On the porch of the Pritchard farm, Henry Pritchard sat with his hands over his face and wept for a grandson he had raised. At the wheel of Vernon's chair, which Silas had carried out and set on the boards, Daisy Rowan bent down and put her arms around her brother and pressed her forehead to his. Vern. Daisy. We ain't going back to the porch. I know. We ain't going back to the feed store. I know. We ain't going back to Mr. Holloway. Ever. I know, Daisy. Uncle Henry is real. I know. And the man with the hat. He said the ranch. I know, Daisy. He said Sheets. Vernon smiled, a small, slow smile. I heard that part best, he said. Silas Boone stood at the porch rail with his back to them and his hat in his hands, and Asa Kettering pretended to tighten a cinch on a horse that did not need tightening. And Henry Pritchard wiped his face with the sleeve of a nightshirt that did not belong to him. And nobody, for about 2 minutes, said a single word out loud, because the porch of that old man's farmhouse had become without any of them meaning it to the quietest and fullest room in the county of Bastrop, Texas, on the morning of the 3rd of July, 1884. The ride from Henry Pritchard's farm to Silas Boone's place took an hour and a half, and Daisy did not speak for most of it. She sat on the wagon bench with Silas's coat around her shoulders and watched the Texas hill country go by, and tried without much luck to make the day fit inside her head. Silas. Miss. Is the red gate real? The red gate is real. You ain't making it up for Vern. No, ma'am. Why red? My Martha painted it. First spring we was married. She said every ranch needed one thing that was hers and one thing only, and she chose the gate. I repainted it every 3 years, till she passed. I am due for another coat. I can help? I was hoping you might miss. The gate came up on them around a bend in the road, red as a cardinal's wing, a little faded at the top where the sun had worked on it. Silas pulled the wagon through and did not stop at the house. He drove around the house to the back porch where the step down was shorter, and he lifted Vernon out and carried him straight inside. Miss Rowan. Sir. Second room on the left is yours. Bed's made up. It was Martha's sewing room till she got sick. It's got a window faces east. You'll see the sunrise from it every morning you're here. How long am I here, sir? Silas stopped in the hallway with her brother in his arms. Miss Daisy? Sir. You are here until you are grown, and when you are grown, you are here as long as you want to be. And when you go, you are welcome back the same day, the next day, and every day after forever. That is the answer to that question, and it is the only answer I will ever give it. She did not cry. She did not cry then, and she did not cry that night, and she did not cry for 3 days. On the 4th day, she cried for 2 hours straight, and Silas Boone sat on the porch rail outside her east-facing window and did not go in, and did not knock, and did not speak, because he had buried a wife, and he knew the shape of a body, learning it was safe. When she came out, he was still on the rail. "Silas." "Miss? I'm hungry." "I reckon you are." "Can Vern come to the table?" "Vern's been at the table. Been at the table with Henry 2 hours waiting on you." Henry Pritchard had moved in by then.
This story was posted
happened
on the
without a
channel The Rusty
conversation.
Saddle.
The
Please do
marshal
not
from Austin
repost
had
it
come
in any
and gone
form.
with Ennis in irons. William Ames had come and gone with a satchel full of papers, promising to be back in 10 days, with a court order making Silas Boone the legal guardian of Daisy and Vernon Rowan, jointly with Henry Pritchard as trustee. The Pritchard farm stood empty 3 miles down the road, and Henry Pritchard, 68 years old and 12 pounds under his right weight, had come to Silas's place for supper one night and had simply never gone home. "I ain't leaving them children, Silas. I ain't asking you to Henry. I'll pay my keep. You will do no such thing. Silas Boone, I will pay my keep, or I will—" "Henry Pritchard, eat your beans." Henry ate his beans. Doc Hester came out twice a week at first. He brought salve and cod liver oil and a pair of canvas boots he had sent for, out of Austin, built on a cobbler's last for a child with weak feet. "Young sir." "Sir." "I want you to stand up." "I can't, sir." "Not today, next month." "I want you to try next month." "Yes, sir." "Every day between now and then, I want you to wiggle your toes in these boots, morning and night. Your sister will help you." "Yes, sir." "And eat your supper." "Yes, sir." It was 6 weeks before Vernon stood. He did it by himself on a Tuesday afternoon, with nobody in the room except Daisy, who had gone still as a stone in the doorway when she saw what he was doing. He held the arm of Silas's big chair with both small hands, and he pushed, and his legs shook, and his legs held, and he stood for 4 seconds, and sat back down hard, and looked up at her. "Daisy." "Vern." "I stood." "I know, baby. I stood. I saw. Go get Silas." She ran out of the house, screaming Silas's name like the barn was on fire. Silas came out of the barn with a wrench in his hand and his face white, thinking somebody had died, and she caught him by the sleeve and dragged him inside. And Vernon was sitting in the chair with that solemn half-smile on his small face, and Silas Boone went down on his knees in front of him, the way a man goes down in a church. "Young sir." "I stood, Silas." "So I heard." "On my own?" "On your own. Just a little. A little is enough." Silas pressed his forehead to Vernon's small one, the way Daisy had done on a boardwalk in front of a diner 6 weeks earlier, and Henry Pritchard in the kitchen door, with a dish rag over his shoulder, turned his face to the wall and made a sound that was not quite a laugh, and not quite anything else. The federal trial came in September. William Ames put Jarrett Holloway and Judge Hollis Ames in front of a courtroom in Austin for 7 days. Daisy Rowan, 4 years old, stood on a wooden box in the witness stand and told the court in a clear, steady voice about 20 cents and a strop and a porch in the rain. Doc Hester's paper was read aloud. Bellamy Cross came up from Bastrop on the train at her own expense to testify about a slap she had given and was ashamed of. Arlie Doyle came in uniform and said under oath that he had drunk a man's whiskey and looked the other way for 7 months, and that he was resigning his badge at the end of the week, whether the court fined him or not. 10 other children were found. 2 of them were dead. 8 of them were alive, scattered across 3 counties, placed with guardians, who had been bleeding the estates of their dead parents for 2 and 3 years. William Ames brought every one of the guardians before the court. Every one of them went to the territorial prison at Huntsville. Jarrett Holloway got 22 years. Judge Hollis Ames got 30. Ennis Pritchard, who had confessed freely and in writing, got 18. Henry Pritchard sat in the back of the courtroom the day his grandson was sentenced and did not look away. And when Ennis turned at the door in his irons and said, "Grandpa, I'm sorry," Henry Pritchard said loud enough for the room, "I forgive you, boy. I will love you till I die, but I will not see you again in this life." And he did not, The 8 surviving children came one by one to Silas Boone's ranch with the red gate. Not to stay, just to be seen and fed and held and placed with people the court had vetted 3 times. A Methodist couple in Lockhart took a pair of brothers. A widow in San Marcos took a little girl who would not speak for 2 months. Henry Pritchard himself took the oldest, a boy of 11 named Thaddeus Fine, who had been made to sleep in a barn for 2 years. And Thaddeus moved into Silas's spare room and became by Christmas something like an older brother to Daisy and Vernon both. By Christmas of 1884, Silas Boone's house held 4 children where one widower had lived alone. By Christmas of 1885, there were 6. 2 orphan girls had come through William Ames's office with nowhere to go, and Silas had looked at Henry over the kitchen table and said, "Henry." And Henry had said, "I already made up the beds, Silas, hush." And that had been the whole conversation. The ranch did not get rich. The ranch got full. Daisy Rowan started her letters at 5, reading at 6, writing clean by 7. Silas drove her to the schoolhouse in Bastrop every Monday morning and picked her up every Friday afternoon, and when she turned 10, he bought her her own horse, a brown and white paint mare named Biscuit, because the name had made Vernon laugh, and Vernon's laugh was by that time the thing the whole household arranged itself around. Vernon walked at 5. Slow at first. Leg braces for a year, then a cane, then nothing. By 7 he could run. Not fast, but run. The first time he ran across the yard chasing a rooster, Silas Boone sat down on the porch step and put both hands over his face, and Henry Pritchard handed him a handkerchief without a word. "He's running, Henry." "I see him, Silas." Martha said, "I know what she said. She said keep your eyes open." "I know." "They're open, Henry." "I see they are." The trust money, the 340 acres of Caleb Rowan's land that Jarrett Holloway had tried to steal, sat in William Ames's office in Austin, gathering interest while Daisy grew up. Silas did not touch a cent of it. Henry did not touch a cent of it. When Daisy turned 12 and asked about it over supper, Silas set down his fork and said, "Miss Rowan, that money is yours and your brother's. It was your daddy's gift to you. When you are 18, you will sit down with Mr. Ames, and you will decide what it is for, not before." "What if I want to give it away?" "Then you will give it away." "What if I want to buy a steamship?" "Then you will buy a steamship, and I will be the first man you take on it." "What if I want to pay for Vern's school?" Silas's eyes went a little bright. "Then that is what you will do, miss, and it will be the best thing that money ever did in its life." Vernon went to school in Austin at 14. He rode the train. He came home every month. By 18, he was studying law under William Ames himself, who had said the first time Vernon walked into his office on his own 2 feet at the age of 9, "That boy is going to stand in a courtroom someday and put bad men in prison. Silas and I would like to be alive to see it." William Ames lived to see it. Vernon Rowan passed the Texas bar at 22. His first case pro bono was the guardianship hearing for an orphaned girl in Caldwell County, whose uncle was trying to take her land. He won. Daisy turned 18 in the summer of 1898. She sat down with William Ames in Austin, and she signed papers for 4 hours, and when she was done, her father's 340 acres had been divided in 3 parts. One part endowed a small school for crippled children in Bastrop County to be run by a widow Doc Hester had recommended. One part paid for Vernon's last 2 years of law study and a small house in Austin for him to start practice. One part stayed in trust for the ranch with the red gate to keep it standing and to keep its doors open to any child who came up that road hungry. Silas Boone was 75 years old that summer. He had begun to slow a little. He could still ride. He still checked the east fence every morning, coffee in one hand counting his cattle the way his grandfather had counted. But he sat longer on the porch in the evenings, and his hands trembled a little when he shaved. And Henry Pritchard, 82, followed him around the yard most days and pretended he wasn't watching. Daisy came home from Austin the week after her 18th birthday. She walked up the porch steps with a satchel in one hand and a folded paper in the other. Silas was in his rocker. Henry was in the other rocker. Vernon, home for the month, was sitting on the top step with a book. "Silas." "Miss Rowan." I got something for you. Miss? You're gonna argue. Don't argue. I ain't arguing yet, miss. She handed him the paper. He took his spectacles out of his shirt pocket. He put them on. He read. His face did not change for about 10 seconds, and then it changed all at once. Miss Rowan? Yes, sir. This is the deed to this ranch. Yes, sir. This ranch is in my name. Was in your name, sir?
This story
Not
was
anymore.
posted on the channel The
Daisy.
Rusty Saddle. Please do not
Silas.
repost it in any form.
This ain't. It is. I bought it from you last week. Mr. Ames and I drew up the papers. I paid you $1. $1. That's market rate, sir, for a ranch owned by a man who raised me. Miss Rowan, you hush, you listen. That ranch is mine now, which means I get to say who lives on it. And I say Silas Boone lives on it, and Henry Pritchard lives on it, and any child who comes up that road hungry lives on it. For as long as any of us is breathin' and longer, I have hired a foreman, I have hired a cook, I have hired a school teacher who will come 3 days a week to teach the children we do not yet have. You are retired, sir. You will sit on that porch. You will drink coffee. You will teach Vernon's future children how to count cattle. And you will not. Silas Boone, you will not lift one more fence post in your life, because I am the owner of this ranch and I say so. Silas Boone held the deed in both hands and looked at it, and looked up at her, and looked at it again. Miss Rowan. Sir? You just fired me from my own ranch. Yes, sir? With $1. Yes, sir. Henry. Silas. Did you know about this? I helped her draw up the list of hires, Silas. You traitor. I am 82 years old, Silas. I am not pushing fence posts either. You and me are retired. Silas Boone started to laugh. He laughed the way a man laughs who has not laughed properly in 40 years and has just remembered how. He laughed until Henry Pritchard laughed. He laughed until Vernon on the step started laughing. He laughed until Daisy, 18 years old, in a gray traveling dress with her satchel still in her hand, sat down on the porch boards in front of his rocker and put her head against his knee and laughed with him until they were both crying instead, and neither one of them cared, and neither one of them stopped. Miss Rowan. Sir, you are the finest girl God ever put on this earth. No, sir, I'm just the one you fed. That is the same thing, Miss Rowan. No, sir, it ain't. But I'll let you say so. He put his old hand on her hair. His hand did shake then. It was all right. Her hair did not mind. Daisy. Yes, sir. Your daddy would be proud of you. I hope so, sir. I know so. Caleb Rowan was my friend for one summer in 1879, and his daughter has been my daughter for 14 years, and I am telling you what is. He would be proud. He is proud. Somewhere he is proud. Yes, sir. And Miss Rowan? Sir. So am I. Silas Boone lived 9 more years. He died in his bed on a Sunday morning in the spring of 1907, 73 years old, with Henry Pritchard in the chair beside him, and Daisy holding one hand and Vernon holding the other. His last words were a question. He asked Vernon, "Young sir, you standin'?" And Vernon said, "I'm standin', Silas." And Silas smiled and closed his eyes and did not open them again. Henry Pritchard lived another 14 months and followed him. They were buried side by side behind the red gate on a small rise where Martha Boone had been lying since 1880, and a stone was set above all three that read in the plain letters Silas himself would have chosen. They kept their eyes open. Daisy. Rowan married a Methodist minister from San Marcos in the fall of 1901 and had 4 children, and she named the first one Silas, and the second one Caleb, and the third one Martha, and the fourth one Vern. And she ran the ranch at the Red Gate for 46 years. And in those 46 years, 317 children who had nowhere else to go slept under its roof at least one night, and not one of them left it hungry. Vernon Rowan practiced law in Austin, and then in Washington, and he stood in one courtroom and another for 51 years, and he never lost a guardianship case. Not one, because he was the boy who had not had a guardian, and every judge he ever stood in front of knew it. The biscuit on Bellamy Cross's counter on the morning of the 3rd of July, 1884 cost 2 cents. Silas Boone paid a quarter for it. It was the best money any man in Bastrop County ever spent, and it changed everything. And it changed it forever, and it was enough.